Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Reagan and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different than the videos that I normally do. And I'm just going to be giving a few tips or advice for college freshmen. And I know that there may be people watching this that aren't freshmen, but I wanted to kind of create this because I am now a senior in college and I've had this on my mind for a while to record something like this where I just give some advice to people who may be new to college. So I'm going back to school in like a couple days, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that are also going back for the spring semester. So I thought that this might be helpful for maybe those freshmen that are going back and maybe students who are new and haven't been to school yet. And I'm creating this because when I was a freshman, I would have really liked to have some video or something where I saw somebody talking about some of this stuff and addressing it, because I know a lot of times when you're in school, you're not really like super close with anybody yet, and it's like everything's new and kind of could be overwhelming. The advice I have for you guys is kind of a mixture of stuff that either I think I might have done well in some categories or I have completely failed, and I've kind of gathered all my thoughts into this little advice video. So I'm no expert and I don't expect anyone to be, fully in agreement of the stuff I say or vice versa, but I thought this is just one girl to another and just sharing some of the stuff that may be on your mind, and hopefully I can relate to you and give you some advice that I have as a senior. That is what I'm planning on doing today. So I have my laptop here because I wrote down some notes because I'm bad at this whole YouTube thing where you record yourself just talking. So I decided to write down notes so that I remember the things that I wanted to say. Some of these things are kind of like basic, like of course, and then some are more, I don't even know how to describe them, so I'm just gonna go right into it. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was something that I know related to me as a college freshman, and especially my first semester, but really at any point, so I just wanted to share this. That everybody is a loner at first, and I know that may sound kind of weird, but it's true. When you get to college, even though you may think like, oh no, I don't have any friends, or maybe you had a lot of friends and that's awesome, but everyone doesn't have, this huge group of people around them that they're friends with when they first start college. So don't feel bad or weird if you don't have a lot of friends yet, and maybe you don't even want a lot of friends, and that's fine too. But yeah, it's not like I think we get so used to when we're in high school that you have all your friends around you and you have your group and you're set, and then you go off to college and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, like where'd everybody go? Like I don't have that, that safety net around me. And I think it's important to remember that neither does anybody else for the most part. So I know like when I first got there, I only had a few friends at my school that I was going to, and so that was very weird for me to be not really surrounded by that group of friends that I had in high school. So it's important to just remember you're not the only one, so don't feel weird or like an outcast or anything, because everyone's in the same boat. So that's important to remember. And I wrote down some of these things because these are just things that I did, but like, don't feel bad if you just sit alone and are watching Netflix one night. You know what I mean? Like you're just gonna binge by yourself. Like that's not weird. That's fine. Like everyone does that. So it's a lot of these things that like I only learned that everyone does kind of after the fact. So that's why I'm sharing some of them. But the other thing is, like, I know with dining halls or like when you go to eat, that's always kind of like an awkward time. Like if you don't have anybody to sit with, like where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do? And my advice now as a senior would be go sit by yourself if you need to and eat your food. Like you don't have to be with people to eat. And I know I would literally go to the dining halls, like get food and leave because I wouldn't want to sit alone. When you're sitting alone, no one actually cares. So I know I got in my head and I was like, oh my gosh, everyone's looking at me. I'm the only one like sitting here by myself if I didn't have my friends around me. But that's not the case. So forget that, and you don't need to worry about it. Okay, so my second one is to get out of your comfort zone. And I know this may be either something that you do really well or something that you struggle in. My advice would be to like take new classes that you wouldn't necessarily be interested in, or look into like study abroad trips or things like that. And getting out of your comfort zone is such a huge thing and so helpful, and like a big point of why college is important, because it like expands your mind and your way of thinking, and just your perspective on like life in general. So I know that taking those classes that may be a little bit outside of what you're used to may be scary or intimidating, but honestly I think you learn a lot more from those classes than some of the ones that you're most comfortable in. And for me, like I think it was called it was some acting class, and I took it my first semester, and I hadn't acted or done anything like that since I was in like 6th grade. So it was very weird for me to go into this class where a lot of people knew what they were doing and I was just kind of like I felt like the outcast. It ended up being like literally my favorite class of the semester, and I met a lot of great people, and it was just something that I'm glad I did because it really helped me to kind of get out of my comfort zone. So my third piece of advice would be to get involved. And this kind of goes hand in hand with maybe getting outside of your comfort zone, but get involved in, if it's clubs or sports or the intramural things that they offer. Like, find ways to surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that have similar interests. That's a huge way to help find friends and find them pretty quickly, which is also very nice. But yeah, whether it's like a youth group or like, you know, a sport that you played in school but you didn't actually go to college for, like, you can find a lot of people that way that can then be your friends for the rest of your time in college. So I think that those are so helpful. And it may take extra time out of your day, and you know, that's those things you gotta kind of work out, but I think that that extra time that you spend in a club or in a sport is really worth it. So I would highly suggest doing those if you haven't already. Okay, so my fourth piece of advice is that you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. And I think this is so important, because I think a lot of times we all get caught up in like what's going on, what is everyone doing, and then you just kind of go into like the herd of people and do whatever the thing is that people are doing, whether because it's easier or like your new friends may be doing it or whatever. But I think it's really important, especially in college. This is the first time that you're like maybe on your own, away from your family or close friends, to stay confident in who you are. And I know that's sometimes a really hard thing to do, but I think if you're aware of it and you're constantly like remembering yourself, it's really important. So going along with that and saying that you don't have to do what everybody else is doing, I kind of equate this to like partying or drinking or whatever other things are going on that you may not be comfortable with. Sometimes people kind of get caught up in, but they don't really want to be. And I think that's important to remember, that like not everyone is actually doing it, even though it may seem like all around you everyone's partying and everyone's getting drunk and everyone's whatever. Technically and statistically speaking, not like I want to sound like a mother or a teacher, but not everyone is doing it. Actually, most times less people than you think are actually doing that kind of stuff. So don't feel like pressured to, you know, that you have to do that to fit in. And I think specifically with like partying and drinking, I'm not saying partying is bad to limits, and if you're over 21, I'm not saying drinking is bad. I don't want to sound like a mom, but I'm just trying to relate to this on like the level that you guys are at right now. I'm ranting and I feel like this is not making sense. If any of this doesn't make sense, I'm trying. It's coming from a good place in my heart, and if it comes across wrong, I'm not meaning it to, but it's hard to kind of describe all this without probably saying something wrong, so that's just a disclaimer. That I'm sorry if anything comes across weird. But you don't have to do it just because everybody else is, or you don't have to drink just because everybody else is taking shots, or whatever the circumstance. And for me, especially freshman year, I really wanted to go out in that like nightlife scene because everyone was doing it, and also because that's where like the social life was. So if you wanted to have like a social life at night, like you go do that. So I definitely did, like my first semester especially, like I'd go out and stuff, but I was never into drinking, and I'm over 21, I still don't really like find an interest in it, so that's just something me personally. But so I'd go to these scenes and everyone would be drinking and I would feel kind of out of place. So my advice for that scene, if you want to go out to those kind of things, do it with caution, obviously, because there's always like risks and different things with being, you know, partying late at night. We all know those things. But what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to do it, but if you're gonna, first be cautious. I just have found throughout my years in college that rarely people, you know, wake up the next morning and think back on the night events before and feel like really proud of them. If you're just getting super drunk and you're not really acting like yourself. But just be aware of that and use caution as a result then when you are going out. But specifically for drinking, when I would go out to parties, because again, I loved to dance, I loved to hang out with friends, but I didn't want to drink. So I would like stop by like a convenience store or like the school store or whatever beforehand, and I'd buy like a green tea. Like I used to get green teas a lot, and I would take them then with me to whatever party I was going with. But I'd have it on me and people would come up and they'd be like, "Oh, is that a chaser? Like, is that a chaser for your drink?" And I'd be like, no, like, oh, what do you have in that? Like, what's mixed in there? I'm like, nothing, it's just green tea. But like, and then people just kind of like leave you alone, you know what I mean? Like, if you already have a drink, no one's gonna come up and pressure you and be like, oh, you're gonna do this and this. Like, I have a drink, I'm good, thanks, and you know, and people would move on. So it's not something that like people are like, oh, why isn't that girl drinking? Or why isn't that guy drinking? What are they up to? Like, what's their issue? Like, honestly, it's not. I don't think it really ever comes across like that. Like, maybe you'll get asked, oh, do you want to drink or whatever, and you can just say, no, like, I'm good, I have my green tea. You're good to go. So I don't think that it's ever really something that people really care all that much. And again, it goes back to that idea of you may be thinking that, but other people are caught up in their own lives and their own situations that they don't actually care at all. So it's a lot of just being confident in yourself and remembering that no one cares. Like, maybe they seem like they do or something, but I promise you, for the most part, no one's gonna hassle you if you're not fully doing what the crowd is doing, and run your own thing. And I think a lot of times when somebody is doing something different, especially in a crowd of people that a lot of people are doing the same thing, depending on what the circumstances are, maybe people will admire you more for, you know, choosing a different path or acting a little bit differently than the rest of the crowd. And I think that you kind of go as a role model or an example to other people who may be in the same boat as you and just not really know how to handle themselves, to kind of be that light. So I would just really encourage you that if you are in that situation, to be confident in yourself, and people will admire that always. I haven't gone back and looked through this footage yet, but hopefully some of this is making sense, or it's relating to you, or it's helping in any way. Again, I get caught up in just sitting here awkwardly recording myself, and I probably get sidetracked and what else. So yeah, I hope that some of this is helping. My final main point, I'm still in college mode where you have your 5 main points and then you have little sub points or whatever they're called. I'm ready for school to be done. But so my 5th point is, this is kind of, I guess this is more maybe toward the girls that are watching this. I know a lot of this can kind of go both ways, but I think this particularly is more, I'm speaking more to young girls that are watching this, but that with college there are a lot of people all at once, brand new faces, and a lot of times people, you go in and you're finally ready to meet somebody, or you're really desperate to make good friends, those kind of hardcore friends that you had in high school, or maybe you had a boyfriend in high school and now you don't, so you're in this this new sea of people. And my advice in those situations would be, don't rush into anything too fast, because if it's the right person, if it's the right friend, if it's the right guy, they'll hang around. So especially for relationships, it's really overwhelming because there's a lot of guys, or there's a lot of new faces, and you really want to meet a guy and you want to have your person, or whatever. If he's the right guy, he'll hang around. You don't need to rush into anything, because he'll hang around. And going on that, again, I think people also, and not just freshmen, anyone, it doesn't matter what age, but you really want a relationship. And I think that a lot of times people can get, I guess, just bummed out if you're in school and you're not finding any guy that's good, or the one that you want to date. I promise you that he is out there. If there's someone, well, I know that everyone has someone out there. I believe that you don't have to rush. He's out there. If he's at school, then maybe that's awesome. But if not, again, don't feel too bad that you haven't met that guy yet, or you haven't had that awesome relationship that you see your friends having. Or try really hard not to get caught up in that. It's something that I know so many girls, especially, you might get caught up in, or really bummed out, and I'm guilty of it too. But really try hard to spend that time, when you're worrying about that, to think more in yourself and look at how you want to create this college career into something that's going to benefit you in the future. So focus on setting goals for yourself, and staying healthy and having fun, and nurturing those friendships. Then if you haven't met that relationship one, that those things are important and can last you for a long time too. So it's not just meeting a guy isn't everything by any means. This is the time that you're independent, maybe for the first time in your life, and you're trying to just figure out what independence means as an adult. So focus on that, help yourself and really build up yourself, build up your own confidence, who you want to be as a person, and let the other stuff wait till it happens. Like, don't rush anything, don't force anything. It'll happen, it'll come, and yeah, I think it's important just not to rush into those friendships that may be fake and, you know, you're in it but you don't really want to be. Like, it's not a healthy friendship or a healthy relationship, and identify those and get out. You know, like, don't stay in them, because there's a bunch of people out there and really great people that will be awesome to meet. And so yeah, I would say don't rush in, don't force anything when it's not there, and just chill out and see what happens. I hope I hope this is making sense. In my mind the things make sense, but trying to get the point across is more challenging than I expected. So I hope that some of this is making sense, and I hope that, you know, you can use some of this in your mind and in your heart as you go back to school in these next couple of weeks. You know, enjoy it. Like, now that I'm a senior and I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have gotten more involved, and I wish I would have done this and that. And so that's why I'm sharing this, because I'm hoping that I can help somebody who's still in like another position where you can still have time to do those things. So it's really given me an opportunity to kind of like look back on things and think of the things I wish I would have done differently, and the things I wish I wouldn't have worried about and I would have focused more on. I hope, again, this comes from a place of love and just trying to encourage people who may be feeling a little, maybe, you know, scared or intimidated to go back to school, or maybe you're super pumped and you have that group of friends and you're set and you're ready to go, and that's awesome. And I hope that everybody can feel that kind of confidence and the joy of school, because there are so many awesome opportunities, there's so many great people, and maybe you haven't met any of them yet, but I promise you they are at the school, they are there, and yeah, it's gonna be an awesome school year. So I hope you guys, if you are going back to school soon, I hope you have a great time. Yeah, it's a fun time in life, so I hope that you really find that. And if you ever have any questions, again, I know that I'm not an expert, but if you ever you need somebody to talk to or whatever, you can hit me up on any of my social media, and I'll be happy to just chat with you. And yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye. I can't find the stop button.